because going through the surgery the first time, there was fear. But then those different elements of my mom and Lance and just different aspects of my life was like, okay, you can do this. So the fear kind of went away. And then when it was go time, it was just, what am I focusing? I'm focusing on when I wake up, not if, when. And then this second surgery, 11 years later, being awake, I was actually excited. And people think I'm crazy when I talk about that, but I was like, man, I'm going to have this opportunity to be awake for brain surgery. And we're getting the footage for the documentary as well, so I'm going to be able to see my brain. But I was just like, I'm excited because, one, this is an opportunity to teach people that this isn't just theory I talk about. This is real for me. It's been real for me every year for 11 years, but also this is what I practice this every day. And two, being excited to be awake was an experience that not many people are ever going to have, nor would I want them to have, but I was thrilled to have it because, one, it allowed Dr. Q to be more aggressive with the approach, which for the first time in 11 years, I'm now tumor free. So that's amazing. But also, it's just an experience that I think experiences, especially the scary ones, we're talking about mental toughness and strength, being able to overcome doesn't mean you're not afraid. The courage is not the absence of fear. And so I turned that level of energy into excitement.
Tumors. And so, Josh, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks, Isaac. I appreciate you having me here. And my name's Josh Perry. I'm a former professional BMX athlete and multiple brain tumor survivor. I actually just had a awake cradiotomy about 16 days ago, which is crazy to say, but I'm incredibly grateful for it. And that's something that I find, actually Jimmy and I were talking yesterday about this, that people think that I'm crazy when I say that, or when I say, having the first brain tumor back in 2010 was the best thing that ever happened to me, because ultimately it shifted my mindset. And I think that that's probably my biggest intention with all the things I do today, whether it be speaking, it'd be writing, it'd be posting content, it'd be anything, coaching with my clients. It's to get a different shift in perspective that allows people to change and get the results they're looking for from a place of joy and inspiration rather than fear, pain, and suffering. I needed the pain and suffering to wake my ass up, to see things differently, and that's what I called the brain tumor diagnosis. There was 4 of them. They were all wake-up calls. And so I love talking about mindset because mindset was also the last piece for me. It started in 2010 with nutrition. I went through the brain tumor diagnosis, and then I read a book called Grain Brain by Dr. David Perlmutter, one of my heroes in the health world of human health and metabolism and optimization. And he wrote the book because he's a neurologist and he wanted people to understand the connection between what you put in your body and how that affects your brain, and then how that affects every aspect of your life. And so I was coming from a fearful state of the brain tumors returning, which ironically they did, because I was focused on it, because I didn't want that to happen. That was my focus. And we know at an unconscious level that that's pretty much what you're going to get if that's where your focus goes. So I devoured that book. At the time, I wasn't a reader. Now it's funny to think about me in high school, like putting off reading and books and just bare minimum to get by, because I was so focused on BMX. But that book changed my world. It changed my life because it taught me how I could optimize my health to the best of my abilities. And it led me to the point where I met Dr. Q 4 years ago because of our passion for brain health and helping people understand what you put in your body affects your brain, affects your mindset, and all of those things affects your reality subjectively. And I didn't know 4 years later, about 2 weeks ago, that he'd be operating on my brain and that I'd be awake. But I talked about the mindset being one of the last pieces for me. Nutrition was the first, because in my mind, that was something I could do. It was tangible. It was practical. I could apply what I was learning then and there, and I could see results over time. And I started to see results. And then moving forward, 2015, I blew out my knee, full ACL constructive surgery. It's what led me to my fiance, Jackie, who's in the other room. So that taught me about fitness and the importance of fitness. Here I was, a professional athlete, but I wasn't training. In action sports, that was frowned upon back then. Now that we're in the Olympics, it's starting to become more acceptable to train. But that was an evil word back in the day. And you get made fun of, like, oh, you're training? Like, what are you doing, man? Like, this is BMX, it's freestyle, you're supposed to have fun. Like, you're out there training, what are you trying to win? Like, but it was what I loved to do. And so I never got into working out until I blew up my knee. I learned the hard way again. And so fitness became a really big, passionate part of my life. And then it was a couple years after that I started getting the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza and people like Dr. Nicole LaPera and their work talking about how your mindset creates your reality in these very real ways. And they got deep into the science and quantum physics, and I became a nerd after the first brain tumor surgery. And I soaked it all up. And then in 2017, same year I met Dr. Q, Kerwin Ray reached out to me out of the blue and invited me to go meet with him in California. I didn't tell him I live in California. I think maybe his team just assumed I did because I lived in America and they, oh, you live in California. But I bought a ticket, flew out to Santa Barbara, met with him in a hotel for about an hour and a half, and that was it. And we recorded a podcast for, at the time, he was getting ready. He was like pre-filming for his podcast. And I remember talking to him about it, and I was like, hey man, like this, like your work, I'm obsessed with. And the mindset was the last piece for me in terms of my conscious awareness, but it had been there the whole time. The first brain surgery, what got me through it was focusing on the vision for my life, focusing on the reality that I was already living my dream and what could come. And then there's two other components that helped me. My mom's story battling colon cancer, she's still obviously here, doing well. That helped me because I was like, man, I'm a part of her. She created me, so I have the same strength. But then also Lance Armstrong and his ability to go through what I thought was 3 times worse what I was going through. Even though I don't think things work like that anymore, in my mind then, I was like, hey, he went through brain cancer, lung cancer, and testicular cancer. He came back to ride his bike. No matter what your opinion is of him cheating or whatever, I don't care. The fact that he did that on that level and that I've experienced just a glimpse of what he went through without the chemo, that's phenomenal to me. That takes a powerful vision and mindset to do that. And then I realized, hey, another bike rider, a little different. Their objective is to stay on the ground. My objective is to go up and spin and flip. But hey, he did it, I can too. And that's when I started to learn the power of virtual mentors. Someone that was afar, but I could learn from. I still, 11 years later, I'm trying to get connected with him. I wrote an email the day after my surgery, and one day I know I'll be able to share that with him. But the term role model became super real for me. And then now with my interest with NLP and talking with Jimmy, his interest in it as well, understanding like we model what we observe, or what we observe, we model and do all these things when we're younger. But the term role model became so real for me in that moment because I was seeing someone do something, going through something, but not only going through, overcoming something, and I built a belief that I could too. So those 3 components is really what helped me. And I didn't know it at the time, but BMX was teaching me the value of vision, the value of getting up and trying again in a really painful manner. And when you fall on BMX, it's not like, oh, you tripped and you fell over. You go from 10 to 20 feet in the air to the solid ground. And maybe you get a concussion, maybe you break a leg, whatever, maybe you don't. It still hurts. And so I learned how to facilitate all these different mechanisms and systems that I work through today consciously and that I help other people do and apply and create these optimization aspects of their life. And so when moving forward in 2017, when I was talking to Kerwin, it clicked in the middle of that interview. Like mindset has been there the whole time. I've been building these principles. I've been watching my mom go through what she went through, smile on her face. She actually didn't tell me a lot of it because I was 17 when I moved to Greenville, North Carolina. I dropped out of school. I remember her signing me out, signing the papers, and it was just phenomenal. But she was doing these things that was setting me up for success. And then I saw people like Dave Mira and Lance Armstrong doing what they did, and I built this belief and this vision that I could do that too. And Jimmy's all about this, being prepared, reliable, and obsessed. I became obsessed with that vision, and that's why I was able to make it happen. And then when my health was challenged, my life was literally challenged, I became obsessed with living. That vision was so strong for me that I wanted to do whatever I could. So I just started watching videos. I started going through this mental movie over and over again because that was what I was going to do. It wasn't if I wake up. It was when I wake up, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And I remember reading Lance's book, his first book, It's Not About the Bike, him talking about the same thing. And so these different aspects of my life and these different people that were set in there built this belief and built these tools for me that when it became apparent, I was like, oh, it makes so much sense. And now I've gone all in on it. And it's a testament to the reality that I'm living. And Jimmy and I were speaking about this yesterday, and it's so crazy because going through the surgery the first time, there was fear. But then those different elements of my mom and Lance and just different aspects of my life was like, okay, you can do this. So the fear kind of went away. And then when it was go time, it was just what am I focusing? I'm focusing on when I wake up, not if, when. And then this second surgery 11 years later, being awake, I was actually excited. And people think I'm crazy when I talk about that, but I was like, man, I'm gonna have this opportunity to be awake for brain surgery. And we're getting the footage for the documentary as well, so I'm gonna be able to see my brain. But I was just like, I'm excited because one, this is an opportunity to teach people that this isn't just theory I talk about. This is real for me. It's been real for me every year for 11 years, but also this is what I practice this every day. And two, being excited to be awake was an experience that not many people are ever gonna have, nor would I want them to have, but I was thrilled to have it because one, it allowed Dr. Q to be more aggressive with the approach, which for the first time in 11 years, I'm now tumor free. So that's amazing. But also, it's just an experience that I think experiences, especially the scary ones, we're talking about mental toughness and strength, being able to overcome doesn't mean you're not afraid. Like, courage is not the absence of fear. And so I turned that level of energy into excitement. Same thing, same level of energy, fear and excitement, but I chose to look at it as excitement. And because of that, I'm here, I'm doing well. I mean, I'm 16 days out of surgery, and for, I'd say the last 9 days, I've felt amazing. Not that the first couple days I wasn't feeling amazing, but it was still like there was swelling, and that's a whole other story of the experience of going through that. But I've been mobile. I'm obviously able to move around, do my own thing. I just can't drive for another 5 months because of seizures. But anyways, that mental toughness was there the whole time. The mindset was there. And you talk about endurance, being able to sustain this vision for 11 years and not give up. Even I remember crying to my mom in 2017 about these things, and I was like, why is it so hard to do something good in the world? Like, that was the mindset I had. It was like being kind of a victim, and all the things I wanted to do to help other people, it was like, how do I do this? I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, I don't have the skills or all these things. And I was able to overcome that. And for 11 years, I've been working towards what I'm experiencing now and what I'm creating now. And then you talk about flexibility. Being able to get up and with pain on a level that many people will never understand and go through that over and over again, and the plan change, and then the vision has to adopt or adapt, and all these different things. Those three components is, to me, what creates a holistic mindset. And that holistic mindset is what drives success. And also adding to that is when you can become so obsessed with a vision, but detach yourself from how that vision is going to manifest and when, then that's when you create this opportunity for possibility, and you also lessen suffering, if not eliminate suffering. And that's my passion now, is about speaking of that. It's detachment, it's vision, it's purpose. I know you and I, Isaac, we've talked about purpose tremendously in the podcast that just came out, Off Self on Purpose. And that was something huge that you helped me with when we met. It was a very pivotal moment in my life that I was wondering why the third brain tumor diagnosis was in 2017. Why is this happening? And you helped me realize that I had a story that's off self on purpose, meaning the first portion of my life up until that point was so self-driven, but that doesn't help other people. My mom was proud of me, other people were proud of me and happy to see me do my thing, but ultimately they didn't really care if I was riding. They just cared that I was getting up and I was doing my thing and I was expressing myself. And you helped me understand that maybe there's a higher purpose than just riding my bike. Because that was what was fueling me every step of the way, every injury, every brain tumor diagnosis, every bit of depression I experienced, losing my hero and friend Dave Mira, like all those things. It was about a higher purpose, and that's what allowed me to actually walk away from BMX on my own terms and pursue the life I'm pursuing today. Was maybe there's something else to this, and my purpose in life is to become the best version of myself, so that way I can help inspire that belief in other people to become the best version of themselves, because it starts with us and then it can transcend to other people. And so that actually, I lost my track because I'm just blown away with just the synergies in my life. And then like us meeting was for a purpose. Like we get set up at that booth, right next to each other, and like I know we were talking on the podcast, like stepbrothers, do we just become best friends? And it was like, yes. And so I could continue going on, and I catching myself rambling now, and I want to stop it there. But I definitely appreciate you. I definitely appreciate what you're doing today. I appreciate being a part of this. And I guess one more thing I want to add is 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Iraq and Kuwait for a 12-day tour with some of my idols, actually. I was the youngest one of the bunch, but I remember going with Jake Brown, Chris Doyle, and Mimi Knoop, two skateboarders, a BMX rider, and Colin McKay, Australian BMX rider, who actually was a part of my first sponsorship. And going out there, 2 days in Kuwait, 10 days in Iraq, and standing on the grounds of places we learned in history class and being there and allowing the troops to be free for an hour, free of their reality of where they were. That was something that was probably one of my highlights of my career, was being able to do that and to give a glimpse of freedom of mindset to the troops over there serving for us, that I don't think people understand, nor are they capable of understanding unless you go there, what it's like to be over there. And I was there as a guest. I was treated like royalty, and I wasn't there serving, but to be in that space and to experience what they went through and to have them thanking us and just for what we naturally love to do, it was phenomenal. And I have so many stories and so many just different pieces of like medals and plaques and like all these different. I remember one of the Black Hawk helicopter pilots ripped off his badge because his last name was Perry, and he gave it to me, and I have that in my office. And Jackie and I are working on putting a frame together with all the medals and everything. But to be able to do that and to be able to just free people from concern for an hour, that was probably one of my favorite things I've done on my bike. And so I just appreciate you putting this together today. I appreciate you having me speak, and I appreciate everyone that's serving for us or has served for us.